So last session, as a recap, you were on the Alexis when an EMP strike had just hit and took out the android Max, laid him out as he was trying to investigate the cryo chambers, and he was walking down a hall with all these bodies head to toe, head to toe. EMP strike hits and wipes him out. The group was investigating that first level. As the EMP strike hits, all the bodies came to life and start jittering and seizuring on the floor. So they went to find Android Max and found him laying in the hallway being investigated by these multi-legged alien beasts, elongated kind of dogs with two jaws. Android Max was wiped out on the floor and not conscious, and the company decided to flee through the air ducting. Luckily crawled into this small air ducting space and then crawled up to the second level and explored the second level, the scientist, the archaeologist, the crew quarters, and the captain's quarters, where they found some macabre drawings of some sort of icon or reliquary of screaming heads and bodies, some sort of depiction of this thing, and little dolls and figurines that people were making out of various things cobbled together in their pockets. They were attacked by these kind of bulbous spider aliens and were in combat for a little bit, and then they decided to take the stairwells up to the pilot house. In the pilot house, Eric Collins decides to hack into the computers and engage the ship's drives to push the ship into space away from the Bishop Gambit so you could recover and get away from that power drain. Harm finds a android crawling out of the pilot house with half his body ripped off, and he climbs up on top of her piggyback, wraps his arms around Harm, and his name is Prander, and he tells them about what's in the cargo hold, this giant statue that mimics the drawings that Oni sees laid out all over the floor, different drawings made of different things, and Oni realizes that it's a gate to some other space or interdimensional space or universe, and that every time that EMP pulses is that gate's opening and these aliens are leaving the gate. Eric Collins makes a slight miscalculation and sets the engines to go off in 5 minutes, and so they have to run quickly to try to get back to the shuttle. They go down the stairwells and they essentially meet the alpha alien as it's clawing its way up the stairwell, and they have to flee back down the air conduits towards the shuttle, and they luckily make it. It's a bit tight with some dice rolls, and they had better dice rolls there than they'd had throughout the game, but they make it to spare, and they all shove themselves into the shuttle. Android Max, who was unconscious, had woken up at some point during this process, finding himself alone amid these dead bodies, and straggles up to a stand and attempts to find him, but then that second EMP strike hits him and drops him out again, and he had crawled into the shuttle as best as he could before the company returned. We left the session as the door closes on the shuttle and the spider shuttle detaches just as the engines to the assigned ship Alexis fires off and takes it away from the Bishop's Gambit. Does Oni and Harm have any additions to that general recap?
Other than somebody got a vibrachetty?
Right. There were some weapons found in the captain's chamber, and Dr. Rizal eyes got really big while he sees the vibrachetty and a long rifle, really. And that's he's pulling off the vibrachetty off the wall when he gets attacked from behind by the spider aliens. Anything else? Really? Good.
Yeah, I was only there for the last half of it, so I don't know anything that happened in the first half because I didn't watch it. So
Yeah, you came just as they were under attack by the other aliens hiding. the multi-legged kind of spider-like aliens with a stinger kind of proboscis before they went up to the main pilot house. So the company finds themselves in this spider shuttle, really, and the shuttle gets knocked around as the Alexis fires off its engines under Eric Collins, coding into its mainframe computer and navigational computer to get the Alexis away from the Bishop's Gambit. The Bishop Gambit, the shuttle eventually reattaches to the Bishop Gambit. You feel it grab on and pull the conduit in a jolting and grinding fashion against the Bishop Gambit, and then you hear the locking mechanism run its course and attach the ship, and you have this little ding go off in the compartment. Oni, you've had a flight like this before, I think, where you were rescued off a ship. Do you have any flashbacks, or how does Oni feel as he's escaping one more ship? He has this memory in his past of being on a shuttle.
I don't know about a shuttle, but I was on a large sort of settlement ship, and myself and many others unknown were escaping religious persecution, and we had been not attacked, I'm sorry, micrometeor shower destroyed, basically sort of like a shotgun blast, just ripped through the ship, and very few survivors, rescued by a fellow Captain Magpie, I think it was, or the ship was Magpie. I'm trying to remember right now.
Captain Dirk on the Magpie.
Captain Dirk from the Magpie, yes. But then, all of a sudden, very strangely, woke up on this ship out of cryosleep, and have no memory of anything that happened between the two. So this is a mystery, and I don't know how many others are sort of experiencing the same thing. But
Harm, you have this android draped over you. The doors open to the Bishop Gambit. You vaguely hear Mr. Tim's voice calling out on the speakers, but your ear, Prander is like holding on top of you. It's like a piggyback without his legs. The bottom half of him are just like stringy lines and dripping milking substance, like sinew of androids. And he's prattling on in your ear, weirdly calm and kind of monotone, telling you about his operational story for past, how he was a reclaimed luxury model that was repurposed by the archaeologists to storage, documentation, and retrieval of information for the science vessel. And then he pauses a little bit and he says, "Well, Mr. Harm, I guess I'm yours now. What will that look like? Thank you for saving me, by the way."
I'll think about it for a second and be like, we'll figure out what that means when we have things calm down a bit.
Yeah, we might have to find me some legs.
Well, that's too bad. Yeah, we just left a whole bunch of little wee beasties with lots of legs behind.
I'll just end up muttering and be like, let's add that to the list.
Max, you're still kind of out of it. Like, you've been hit 3 or 4 times by this EMP that's taking you down to non-operational, and then you stutter back to life. I think you crawl into that shuttle as it leaves before the group arrives, and you're trying to regain your function. You're mostly regained by the time you reach the Bishop's Gambit as the airlock opens. What does Max do as that door opens and he sort of hears Mr. Tim's voice calling out?
Max he's just gonna have a sense of calm, I guess, of hearing something that he knows that sounds familiar finally, after being knocked unconscious, two or three times, and just kind of like running a diagnostic on himself, and just limp back into the Gambit, very dazed and confused.
Max and the party exit the shuttle. Max a little bit on wobbly legs, doing system diagnostic. Mr. Tim's voice comes over. Great, welcome. All systems are activated and fully functional. We have 10% of fuel cell capacity.
Is 10% a good thing?
Absolutely not, Mr. Oni. 10% is horrible.
Well, it's better than 0.
And I have no
So,
idea where we are.
that is not good.
And then you go
Alarming.
ahead.
I said that is alarming.
Max is like up forward, moving through he goes up this stairwell and it exits in a hallway and hear this little chime on his computer and goes, Captain Max, I have something to tell you. Oh, and it kind of echoes throughout the space. And then he goes, oh, can everyone hear that?
Hear what, Mr. Tim?
Can they all hear me? I should probably tell you this secretly. I mean, in private. I mean, so that no one else hears. And your little personal communicator voice goes really low. I'm going to try something on Video Ninja and see if it works. Hear it. You guys hear me?
No,
All
but
right.
I can read lips.
Good. I got to repeat that because it actually isn't picked up by the recording. I thought it would be if I talked to you solo, but it doesn't. So,
Well, one could have hoped.
yeah, one could have hoped. You guys don't hear this, but Mr. Tim says, Captain Max, for your ears only, the aft starboard hold is empty.
What happened? Was there a breach? That is very alarming.
Well, that is where you put your pet.
Oh, you kind of cut out there for a minute.
Pet. That's where you put your pet.
Yes, Mr. Tim, but was there a breach? Did they break through the hole, the door? What?
No, airlock is still closed. I actually cannot sense them throughout the ship.
Max is gonna just immediately, no questions asked, and start running to the aft.
Okay. Oni and Captain Harm, you probably hear Max mumbling and maybe Mr. Tim's little tinny voice, but you can't really tell what he's saying. And Max all of a sudden just kind of beelines, goes down the hallway, turns aft, going to the aft, down the aft hallway. What does Oni and Captain Harm do?
Well, Mr. Tim, I think there is less need to panic. Oni knows where we are.
You do, Mr. Oni.
Yes, we are between a rock and a hard place.
I thought it was Captain Max who was going to teach me joking. Maybe I should reevaluate and have you do it. We have enough fuel, Oni, to make a hyperspace jump to the communications buoy. As planned, there would only be a likelihood of 5% failure. We could also jump to the Siesta 3 autonomous station.
Yes, Mr. Tim, never tell us the odds.
Oh, do you want the odds of the last jump?
Wait, are we talking about hyperspace again? Because the last time we were in hyperspace, that did not end well.
Yes,
Oh.
Captain Harm, I agree, but we are in open space with 10% fuel, and I have no radio signals from any planets in any vicinity. We could stay here, and I and Captain Max and perhaps whatever that thing is that you have draped over your shoulder like a coat would live a very long and healthy life. But you, who are fleshborn, would eventually expire.
Fair point. I guess my mortality shouldn't bother me as much as you make it sound like it should. But I guess we'll take our chances.
Great.
Once we know what the hell Max is doing.
Oh, that. Captain Max, you go running aft. You go past the cryo chambers. You go past the galley. You go over the main hold has a walkway that goes over the top of it, like a tall walkway way above it, and you go past that, and the aft starboard and port holds, usually they're to carry water, or they have conduits on the outside, and the starboard hold is where you put your alien. You go aft and you see the aft starboard airlock to the hold. What does Captain Max do?
His eyes are immediately going to just start darting around, just frantically looking for anything, any signs of a hull breach or maybe a hole or just anything that is off.
So aside from the general disrepair of the Bishop Gambit at large, you don't find any other new giant holes or broken bulkheads. There's no overhead grates that are missing. You don't see any evidence of forced exit. The airlock door is closed.
Max is going to kind of close his eyes and try to center himself and just try to call out to Mother.
Yeah, you meet dead silence. You like search yourself for Mother. There's not even like a little fluttering of Mother inside you. It's like dead space. I see you lose about 2 or 3 or 4 seconds, and there's nothing there.
Where did we put the artifact? I put that in a locker, didn't I?
Yeah, you had them in backpacks.
Okay, I'm gonna
Like,
I'm gonna go to the artifact and grab a hold of it, and then try to kind of redo the process and try to reach out again.
okay, I see you about face because you have to go back up forward, and I imagine Oni and Captain Harm are chasing after eventually Max.
I would think since we don't know what's going on, we're probably trying to relax
That's perfectly fine.
and decompress.
Do you, Oni? You have no idea. You would actually have no idea what's going on with Max because you weren't there to begin with.
Or I wasn't awake.
Right, you weren't awake. Do you go back to the cryo or the galley or the pilot house?
I suppose to the galley.
Okay.
I
So
need to wash up a little bit, get some of the sticky organ meat off of my hands.
So Oni is going to the galley to do a little stress reduction, maybe find something to eat, take a deep breath. What does Captain Harm do?
It might take him a couple seconds before realizing which direction Max is headed in, and then he's probably gonna be like, motherfucker, and then just start heading after Max, because he's probably like, he's checking on some shit that I've been there for. I don't fucking know what it is, but I might as well go and
Nice.
see what's happening.
I see Captain Harm meeting Max like part way as he goes back towards the cryo chambers to get the bag with the artifacts, and you enter the cryo chamber, Max and Captain Harm. Max, what do you do when you open that bag and you get the scepter in your hand, this kind of white unknown steel scepter with that bulbous top head?
I'm gonna try to concentrate again, and then try to reach out one more time, calmly.
I would let you try. I would let you roll Mother's voice at disadvantage. See if you have some chance to. Ooh.
I'm terrible at this game. I don't think I've ever rolled this bad in any game.
Yeah, Captain Max, you like grab the scepter, and I don't know how you do it, but you try to commune with the mother that's part of you now, and that silence is dark, flat, cold, and dead. Like there's nothing there, not even a glimmer of Mother appears. You have no idea where the alien is. You don't even feel it anymore. It's completely lost to you. And what does Captain Max do?
Harm's there, right?
Yeah, Harm is there too.
Max is going to look at Mr. Harm with a very worried look and say, Mr. Harm, we may have a serious problem, but there may be a slight good thing to it, maybe.
Okay, how, on a level of 1 to 100, how stressed out should I be about this right now?
Max is going to take a minute to kind of calculate the odds and look back at Harm and go, well, 96%?
Well, I guess as Mr. Tim put it, I am a fleshy humanoid thing, so maybe my odds of being stressed out about it are a little higher than yours.
Well, this problem might concern all of us, fleshy and mechanical.
Yes, well, does it have anything, what does it have to do with? Because Harm's a Marine, he's probably not the sharpest tool in the shed other than for following orders, so he probably hasn't fully made the connection yet.
The aliens that I brought onto the ship, they have more or less disappeared. But Mr. Tim is not picking up any of their life forms on the ship anymore. It's almost as if they have disappeared out of thin air. And ever since we boarded, what was the ship's name?
Alexis.
The Alexis, I seem to have lost contact with Mother.
Did Captain Harm ever know that Mother was inside you?
If, character knowledge, I have no idea. Player knowledge, yes.
So Captain Max just looks at you, Captain Harm, and says, I've lost contact with Mother. What does Captain Harm say or do? And he kind of skips and blurts that out.
If you've ever had, it's a mixture of, that 90s dial-up tone computer noise and a record scratch, just be like, I'm sorry, what?
When I grabbed the scepter, I wanted to save everybody's life. And the only way I could do that was allowing Mother to become part of me. That's how I was able to control the aliens and get them aboard the ship. But it seems the aliens have vanished, and I no longer have communication with Mother.
Okay, so with my limited knowledge, I'm going to assume that Mother is admittedly, the mother of the alien that you put on that came with us, correct?
Yes, sir. You're 100%.
Okay, good to know. I guess that it has some cause for concern.
I would
but-
have Captain Arm roll stress as the android just tells him that he's being inhabited by some sort of alien mother.
And as
so stressed, yeah.
Right.
I
Probably
That-
sanity or
Yeah, I
fear.
was gonna
Fear
say,
fear is better for you. Maybe fear is a better role for you.
okay. I'm just gonna do. I don't think any of my skills apply to that, so I'm just gonna.
Oh, you keep it together though, Captain
Okay.
Harm. You keep it together.
Cool. I'm probably just gonna end up being like, what in the world? Okay, like, I guess, like, we have an issue, but like, since neither of them are actually on the ship to potentially like completely destroy everything, we have some time.
yes, I think we have some time, and I will keep Tim continuously running scans to see if he can find them or if they pop up on the scan. But as it would seem right now, I have no control over them.
So the plan of Captain Harm and Max is just to keep a lookout, but do nothing else.
I mean, until like we can actually do something about it other than keeping a lookout, that's where
Now,
I'm.
Android Max has not looked at the starboard aft hold. The hold door airlock is still closed. He was just outside the airlock. I'm just making sure I got, get the plan correct.
Oh, I thought I walked up on a catwalk. I'm sorry.
No, you walk to the back of the aft hold where the aft airlock was, and we're looking around. Don't see any exit, and you see the aft airlock door is still closed, but you actually didn't go into the hold itself.
Oh, I thought I was on a catwalk looking into the hole.
No.
I'm sorry.
That was my fault, maybe.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and, well, I don't know. I don't have control of them, so if I open it, maybe they're just sleeping. Are they hibernating? Would it have like a window on it? So it's just
No.
a bulkhead door.
Yeah, just the airlock bulkhead door. No window in case of decompression. Like it's a hold that actually may hold water or other things that are loaded from the outside, which is pretty lucrative product to run water. So, Max, you're gonna go and look at the hold.
Yeah, not before grabbing some kind of firearm and
Okay.
or grenade. If we have a grenade, I'll grab one of those. I can't remember what all we have on the ship.
You do, Captain Harm. Are you gonna go with him?
I will. After putting, what's the android's name again?
Prander. Yeah, Prander's so probably.
Okay,
I
so
can go with you.
I'm gonna be like, Prander, I appreciate it, but I'm gonna sit you down so A, you don't get hurt more, and B, I can more effectively help my co-captain.
Oh, that's a good idea. I like you already. I'm glad we are attached, and you are now my master.
I'm glad we have you on our team now. I'm not gonna
Great.
acknowledge the master thing quite yet. Go figure that out later.
So Captain Max and Harm are going aft to investigate the starboard hold. Only you walk into the galley and smell nutmeg and cinnamon. There's a muffin, a 6-container muffin baking thing. I don't know what they're called, but bake 6 muffins. You put the stuff in and you bake it. But there's a 6 muffin baking tin on the main metal table, and the room is just fused with cinnamon and nutmeg.
Oni kind of looks around. Any idea where the muffins came from?
He has no idea where the muffins came from. There was no one on board while you were on the Alexis to cook muffins that he knows of.
I'll put my hand over top of the muffin tin or muffin tray. Is
the
heat coming up?
The tray isn't hot, but the muffins are still warm.
Muffins are still warm. Looks around again, one side to the other. Any, considering just what we went through, I'm looking up at all the vents.
Yeah, you look up at the vents, and they're all intact. Like, it has one big main. Most rooms have one big main ducting vent, either on the side wall or catty corner to the door to pull air in and around the ship. He looks at the main vent, which is in a section of the wall, and all the bolts are in there, and it looks like it's intact. He actually hears the low hum of circulation, or the fans are working, which had shut down when the ship was originally in this space. Everything seems to be normal.
Mr. Tim, are you there?
Yes, Mr. Oni. I am keeping track of Max and Captain Harm as they go aft to the aft starboard hold.
I think I'll go down there soon, but a few questions first. I'm in the galley, if you're unaware. There seems to be a warm tray of muffins that have just recently been baked. Do you have any insights as to how these muffins became reality?
Absolutely not.
Are you lying, Mr. Tim?
I don't think so. I am a ship's AI. I cannot lie purposefully.
Are you hiding something?
There is nothing on my body.
You don't have a body, Mr. Tim.
Oh, well then, that would be a distinct no. Is the oven warm?
Good point, Mr. Tim. I'll go over to the oven. Is there any? There must be obviously a digital display.
Just says 00000.
Is there any? Is there any method of looking back into the history of how of what had? Do you know what I mean? Like
not really. It doesn't have like a memory chip where you're. Oh, what did I cook last? What did I cook last? You know.
So Oni pinches himself.
You're alive.
Am I awake? Okay. Muffins. I'll take up the tray and maybe make a little pot of coffee and
Okay.
take things down to where Mr. Tim told me the rest of the crew were going.
So you're going to do some stress relief, and you get to make a body roll for that. I think if you're going to make coffee, that's really good because there's caffeine in it. And do you eat the muffins?
Not yet. No. Okay. I would not be so rude as to eat before.
I think you're going to take a little time to decompress, so I would have you roll a body save for stress.
Okay, so I just click on body.
Mm-hmm. When you do stress reduction, if I remember correctly.
I'll also do some meditation as I'm preparing the coffee and waiting for the water to boil. Do a little bit of meditation, so add my theology to the role.
I think if you did that, you could add your theology. Like as you're doing that, I mean, making coffee itself is a meditative experience. Even if
as
it's
we all know,
watching it drip out, I would let you use theology, and you choose your worst stress, which is your worst one, which is actually body, and you make a rest save.
Okay, so I've got body save up,
and then you should be able to click theology.
I click theology and just and just normal.
Yep. Well, I'd give you advantage for the coffee, or you can roll it twice if you don't. Roll it one more time. Yeah.
I think I made it. No, I didn't.
No.
Well, but okay.
I can change it. Yeah, I can change your stress. Roll it one more time for advantage, and we'll see if it. Take the first one. You still fail. How come you're making that coffee? You got the muffins on the table. You can still smell the cinnamon, but Oni, you just can't find the grasp. How come Oni fails to collect himself in this moment?
He's getting frustrated because the coffee is not fresh.
You can smell it. Smells dead. It's like dead coffee.
It's the crystals. It's not.
Okay. There's no aroma. You realize you put too much water in it. It looks thin. It's like weak tea. You're like, all right. So you make the coffee, and that takes a little while, and get the muffins. As you're doing that, Captain Harm and Captain Max, you go to the aft airlock of the starboard aft hold and open the airlock. The airlock opens easily. There's a ladder that goes down because the airlock opens about mid height of the container itself. It doesn't open on the bottom. It's about midway through, and so there's a ladder that leads down. There's lights that rim the edges at the top of that square container. Some of them are blinking and some of them are out and some of them are on, but this is the Bishop Gambit, so you get what you get. You walk down that ladder and you see something in the far corner in this like kind of darker corner to the right.
Max is gonna look at Harm and Mr. Harm, I would like you to stay here just in case anything happens. You can lock the door. If anything goes wrong, it was a pleasure serving under you. And Max is going to pull the grenade out and put his finger around the pin and slowly make his way down the ladder to figure out what is going on.
All right, Harm. Captain Max tells you to lock him in the starboard hole and pulls out a grenade. Sticks his thumb through the ring and tells you to leave him in that space. What does Captain Harm do as he tells him to do that?
Probably gonna stay where I am until absolutely necessary. Because,
Okay.
if something happens, I will follow orders, but I don't, there's a little, seed of hope of, maybe this will go okay. Maybe
Alright.
this will be fine.
Do you close the hatch?
Sure. I'll just stay here in case anything happens.
Okay.
Keep an ear out, and if a grenade goes off, I know to run.
All right. Captain Max goes climbing down the ladder well, got a grenade in one hand with his thumb through the pin, and the grenade is triangular, like it's this triangular thing of metal with little inscriptions and bevels in it that you can feel as you got your finger through the pin, and you go climbing down. You hear the airlock gurgle, and then Captain Harm throw the mechanism. She spins the wheel and it's shut. You're in this space that's got periodic light because of the way the Bishop Gambit is. It's a broken down, ratty ship at times, and there's many dysfunctions and problems with lighting. You see this mass in the right corner. What does Captain Max do? Do you just walk right up on it, or do you?
I'm realizing out of game that I probably should have grabbed a flashlight.
Well, there's enough light. It's just that
It's
where
just
this,
very dim.
yeah, this where it is, it's dim, and it's a fairly big hold. Like it's the aft starboard hold that's usually for water transport. So it's it's billions of gallons. Like it's that big. You're a tiny little, and you can hear your footsteps as it, as you're moving and walking along the metal floor. It rings out. And so the light, there's places of darkness throughout the whole place and places of brightness. You just see this amorphous shape taking up most of this right corner way up in front of you.
Max is going to steady his breath and slowly walk towards it. And as he gets closer and closer, still with very little hope, try to reach out to Mother.
You walk across, hearing your footstep echo throughout this whole space, this metallic ring as every footfall falls. You approach this mass and it slowly starts to take shape out of the gloom. It looks like this massive, huge cocoon with these iridescent, almost see-through filaments and ropes that it's made from, like it was secreted and made it. And then right out of the center of it is like a hole is torn out, and something from the inside burst out of that cocoon. You have a vague memory that the alien probably transits hyperspace in that fashion. Like you guys go into cryospace, and you don't specifically, but it's still organic. So hyperspace could be dangerous to all sorts of organic nature. And the alien had been in this cocoon for hyperspace transit, just naturally out of instinct had made that kind of cocoon. And you may have seen it start to make that as you secreted it into the starboard hole. But you see this huge hole that looks like a ragged gouging out of the center of that. Inside looks completely empty. What do you do, Captain Max?
Captain Max is going to very nervously look back at Harm and then look back at it.
Yeah, you look back and you can see the doors closed because Harm is no longer there. And you realize that it's somewhere. The alien is out in the ship. You just don't know exactly where it is, if it's in the hold itself or somewhere else. Oni, you're walking aft with your coffee. It smells thin, unfortunately. It doesn't have that robust, tangy smell. And
So the coffee's not strong enough to defend itself.
Right. And you probably, I don't know if you took the whole muffin thing with you or just, secreted some muffins in your body.
No, I'll take the whole thing. I'll put a little tea towel over top of it.
So you got muffins in one hand and coffee in the other.
Yes, and a number of different fingers, different cups.
All right. You're moving aft, and Harm's gonna need a little help, Oni. Harm's gonna need a little help here soon. I would like you to make I think it would be intellect. As you're moving aft, something is off, perhaps, and I'm just seeing if you notice it.
Okay, so roll. Oni rolls intellect.
Oni rolls intellect. Yes, he's got these cups in his finger, and he got the coffee and the muffins in both hands.
And he's humming. He's
right, making noise.
Just normal, I take it then.
Yeah,
I can't add anything to it because, of course, I'm not even aware.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
All right, you hear the ship groan around you, Oni. You hear scatterings of sounds, but you're really threading your way through a dilapidated Bishop's Gambit. You have to tuck yourself around open panels, and there's stuff streaming down from the ceiling, and you're trying to protect the coffee and the muffins, and it doesn't really catch you off guard as you sort of see Harm in the distance, way down there standing in the thing. Captain Harm, you're looking at the airlock waiting for the sound of a grenade, maybe, or a soft knock on the metal, like Max has come up. Make a speed check for me.
I tried.
You did try. What is that? Wait, it's rolling something weird. There we go. Oni, you see Max, you see Harm standing facing the airlock. And at first, you think it's just the broken conduits and trailing wires and open panels, electrical panels of the Gambit, because the place is, in disrepair. And then you realize that they're moving. And out of the paneling above the broken panelings and this trailing wire, you see this shape kind of squeeze itself out, just like a octopus would, or a thing that can morph and squeeze its body into tiny little places. And it's suddenly behind Harm, looming up, and almost like it's something's blowing air in it, and it inflates itself because it was squeezing itself through this small little place. And you see it rise up with these two giant tentacles and just slap Harm, wrapping around one side. Harm, you take 19 points of damage.
I only had 17 health, so
you just take one wound, and you stay at 17. Actually, you go because you just carry over that 2.
Okay, so I get one wound.
Yep, you just got one wound, and you are currently on that part. What am I gonna have you do is, who has the highest speed? Let's see. Oni has 38, and
I have 43 if I don't add athletics.
Okay, I would have you just roll flat speed. We're just deciding who goes first, you and Oni, or it.
Okie dokie.
Oh, you get the critical success. All right. The other thing I would do is,
come on.
You already rolled. Oh, Oni rolled a double. Okay, and you rolled a critical failure. Hit the blunt force. Let me see if I'll hit the blunt force wound effect for you in just a second. But you don't have to make a death save. We're gonna hold off for that for a moment. It does break your arm though. I think, Captain Harm, as it hits you and wraps around and bowls you into the thing, it breaks your arm, and that's why you roll that critical failure on your speed test. For some reason, Oni rolls a critical success, so it will be Oni, the alien, and then Harm. Oni, you see this thing come out of the ceiling, really, out of this tiny little space that you think is, and it just kind of oozes out of it and expands above Harm, and then just wraps Harm up and slams him into the bulkhead. You see him slam in, and then his arm is at a odd angle, What
Maybe
does
it's dislocated then,
right? Shoulders out.
rather than broken.
What does Oni do?
Well, Oni has a big pitcher of boiling hot coffee.
Sure.
Given that we're in outer space, and I would imagine the atmospheric pressure within the ship is probably a little bit lower than what we normally experience here on Earth. That the water is actually much hotter than because of the pressure is lower. The water is hotter.
It's the same temperature, Oni. That physics doesn't work. It just boils at a lower temperature.
So, going to sprint and hurl the boiling coffee onto the creature.
Oh, that's a good attack though, because it is very sensitive to heat. Roll combat, really, with any skill that you think may help. I don't think you have
Yes.
much.
No, I really, yes. This is my first character, so I'm not really. I had no sense of what I needed to take, but I went with the role playing.
Yep.
This creature is alien, so it is not of my experience, my knowledge.
Yeah, I'll show you what it looks like because I'm not certain that you've seen it. So let me show you an image of the creature. I know that Captain Harmon and Captain Max knows what it looks like, but you probably don't.
So what is the term for alien life form? Like xeno something?
Yeah, Xeno.
Oh, hell.
Xenobiology.
Ay, look at that thing. Oh my god. Okay. Well, I'm really trying to do my best to try to figure out if I can use maybe my medicine skill and identify a certain part of the creature to throw it at.
I think if you had xenobiology, it would count, but I don't think flat out medicine because that's more for treatment of your kind.
Well, how about since it's more of a spray attack that it's more of sort of a wide ranging? No. Just rolling normal. No.
Almost, though. Almost. I see you throw the coffee on him, or try to, and the top lid like flaps, and it just kind of sprays out over and the wall and the side. You gather its attention, though, Oni, as you're there, and it lashes out because it's got hold of Harm, and it's got a few other tentacles up into the conduit trying to pull itself up with Harm at the same time, and it lashes out at you with one tentacle.
Okay, a quick question. Only because I'm not familiar with what this means. I had a critical success. How is that critical in this context?
You will get advantage on this speed check. So critical advantage could be on your speed check. So when you got critical for success for initiative, I add it to something else. So we're doing combat a little bit differently. Like, it's not going to roll to attack. You're going to do something to prevent it. So it's going to be more player facing it at the moment. So at the moment, it's trying to reach out and attack you as it's pulling Harm up in the thing. You have to avoid that attack somehow. And whatever you decide to do, you get advantage on that roll.
Okay, I was just trying to parlay that maybe into advantage.
Yeah, it's
for
harder to
my own attack with the critical speed. So
you could do that if you want. You could spend that. You could re-roll if you'd like. That's reasonable.
I was unaware that would be possible. I'm hoping that it might work. So.
And I probably missed it too, but I think that's reasonable. You got a critical success that you could re-roll.
Okay,
that.
I'm glad I asked then.
Oh,
There you go.
I did.
It's hot coffee. Well, it's boiling coffee because of lower atmospheric pressure. Roll, and it is sensitive, so I have you roll 1d10 for damage. Oh, very good. Okay, so you splash it with this hot coffee. It immediately recoils. I'm gonna see if it drops Harm by just rolling instinct. Give you okay. So you hit it with this hot coffee. It's obviously sensitive to the hot coffee and it's trying to crawl up into the conduit, and it drops Harm on the ground because it has it wrapped up in one of his tentacles. Harm lands on the ground. Its shoulders out of place, and it, for its action, is going to crawl back up, make itself small, squeeze through like a octopus was back up into the the top ceiling of the Bishop Gambit, but I'm going to see if it does that in this round or if it takes longer. Yeah, so it only gets like halfway up there. Harm, you're dropped suddenly on the ground. I think your weapon goes clattering. Your one shoulder is dislocated. Oni, you probably see him use this coffee to splash it on the alien, and it drops you because you're hitting all of a sudden. What does Captain Harm do?
Probably try to grab his gun, and then how far away would the gun be from me?
I think it would be right there. It's just
Okay.
that you have a long rifle, right? Whatever you're probably using, unless it's a pistol, is going to be at disadvantage because you can't use that other arm. You're going to be like pointing a rifle with one-handed.
Machine gun at disadvantage because
Okay.
the arm thing. God damn it.
You
Okay.
just
I
missed.
tried. Yeah.
Wow, you had a critical success and just missed underneath at a 45.
Yeah. But while I do that, I'm gonna basically yell out, Mr. Tim, I swear to God, the next time you try and tell us that they're not here when they are.
You fire off that rifle, and I think Captain Max is coming up the ladder well, and you could hear that rifle go off, Captain Max, as you're trying to get back up to the airlock. And Captain Harm yells out at Mr. Tim, chastising him, and Mr. Tim comes over on one of the tinny little speakers and says, Captain Harm, I only have you and Oni in the hallway. There is no other life form there. Captain Max is still in the starboard hold. I see nothing else. What is there?
You said, you told Max the alien wasn't in the ship anymore.
No, I told Max that I did not appreciate a life sign. That doesn't mean he's not here. That's a distinctly different sentence.
I am dumb, Mr. Tim. You could have made that slightly clearer.
Captain Max, you're moving up the ladder well. You hear the firearm go off. It probably sounds muffled through the airlock door, but, it's a very sharp report. It's not going to go past the hull. Most ships are rated for firearms inside unless they're really broken down. And yeah, the Bishop Gambit is, but she's kind of firing into the roof at the alien. You come to the airlock door. I imagine you just swing that thing open.
Yeah, I immediately just open it.
You open that door and you see Captain Harm on the ground with a dislocated right arm and a rifle in one hand up at the ceiling. Oni is standing there with an empty coffee pot and probably still is able to hold on to the muffins with a little sheet over it. What does Captain Max do?
Max sees Oni with the muffins and the coffee, and
well, the coffee's dripping down.
Or, yeah, but he sees Oni just with the plate of muffins, and is kind of tilts his head and is very confused by it. But nonetheless, he grabs Harm and starts to kind of help Harm up, and then huddle. And he's going to ask Mr. Tim if there's any room that is completely sealed.
That can be completely sealed. The only room that can be completely sealed is the pilot house.
Okay. He's going to, Mr. Harm, Oni, will you please, you need to get to the pilot's house immediately. I'm going to go gather any weapons, and it appears, and he's going to kind of see the coffee spilled everywhere, and kind of ask Oni the coffee. So what, it is sensitive to heat, I assume, or did you just drop the coffee? Or what happened?
It was a natural reaction. The only thing that I had in my hand to try to get the beast off of Captain Harm. So, yes, let me help Captain Harm. Captain Harm, stay still, and Oni will use his, field medicine or surgery, or both. Please.
I think it's field medicine. You're not really doing, it's a dislocated shoulder, a distraction injury, maybe a, cervical cord injury, but I think it's more field medicine.
Hold still, Captain Harm, and I'll just, because it should pop in if I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, just roll it. See if you make it worse.
Select a stat.
So you would roll intellect and then choose field medicine.
Oh, I chose field medicine first, and now I'm choosing intellect.
Oh, yeah, you could do it that way, too. You could do it that way.
Okay. Oh,
You got a really high. It's really hard for you to fail on that, and so I would roll 1d6 or make it 1d8. That's fine.
for recovery.
Right. So Harm gets 3 points of health back, which just takes her to the 19 because it doesn't heal the wound. You still have a distraction injury and dislocated shoulder, so you're at disadvantage for anything you use manually with 2 hands until that is healed or fixed.
But at least at least Captain Harm will not be in pain.
Right.
So yes, there's that. But the inflammation
distraction
will
was
be
quite
physical.
helpful. Not that he probably would have reacted much anyway.
Right. A Marine getting his shoulder dislocated is, just part of basic training, probably.
Ah, good point. Good point. So that probably took literally seconds. Hoist Captain Harm up, and we'll try to make our way up
Now,
to the pilot house.
Oni, you woke
Yes.
up on this ship. You have no idea about this alien at all.
No, I don't.
Right. You have no idea what's going on. Alien out of the bulk word. What does Oni do is he's picking up or helping Harm up to his feet.
Captain Harm, while we make our way up to this safe room, perhaps you could tell me a little bit about, are all ships full of aliens? So far, this is all that I've been seeing.
This, I believe, like as we I'll just end up being like, as we make our way, I'll just be like, I believe this is a unique circumstance. Most, at least in my experience, ships do not include your own resident alien that attempts to kill you. So
perhaps the next ship that we get can be less alien, alienified.
yes, or we can hope that the alien issue is resolved eventually.
So, making our way up.
Okay.
Please, Dr. Harm, you'll have to, Captain Harm, you'll have to tell me where to go.
I'll kind of give directions and just kind of just end up looking at the muffin tin in Oni's hand and just be like, I gotta figure out the baking situation that happens on this ship. Jeez.
Yes. Would you like a muffin while we make our way up?
Sure. I'll kind of just take one and just kind of munch on it as we walk, try to focus on something else and getting that and just be like, I'm gonna try to de-stress while we actually walk.
I'll probably let you make that roll in the pilot house. The pilot house is far forward. It's the only secure area in the ship. It has a one-way airlock. It has almost a double airlock, actually. One airlock, a couple feet, another airlock. It's the only place in the ship that you could batten down if you have a decompression elsewhere. The pilot would survive. And so Oni and Captain Harm are moving up that direction. Start moving up as quickly as they can towards the pilot house under Captain Max's direction. Max, what do you do as they start moving off?
I'm going to ask Tim, Mr. Tim, in theory, organisms or organic matter require oxygen to breathe, right?
No.
Mr. Tim, you're full of good news.
Not everything that is alive is oxygen dependent, Captain Harm. There are organisms that can survive perfectly without oxygen. There are organisms that live in hyperspace and the void of space. There are weirdness in the universe that isn't based on oxygen as a metabolic component of survival.
Mr. Where is the closest airlock that leads to outside the ship?
The hangar bay has hangar doors, big blast doors that open up. Either, they vent that space, open that space, the big blast doors of the main hangar bay. That's the closest place to where you are, and stuff is loaded in there. Or if that hangar bay is attached to another commercial buoy or that sort of thing, they can open the hangar bay and seal it, and then create atmosphere in it. But in general, that those hangar bay doors are huge and they can be opened and vented to space.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's far aft where the shuttle is connected, and there are ceiling vents in the ceiling conduits in the starboard and port aft holds.
Okay. So I still have the scepter with me, right?
Right.
Okay. So I'm gonna go and gather any weapons that I know of that we have on the ship, and then immediately head back towards the pilot house.
Okay. Most of those are in the cryo chamber, so I see you going, to the cryo chamber and maybe getting a duffel bag and, or something to carry weapons as much as possible. The other two go to the pilot house, Oni and Captain Harm. Oni and Captain Harm, you go far forward. You end up these 3 or 4 step ladder well to the pilot house. You go up, you go through the first airlock door and you go through the second airlock door. Do you leave them open?
Captain Harm, should we close doors behind us so nothing can follow?
You said there are 2 airlocks, right?
Yes, so the 3 or 4 steps come up to a first airlock door, and then there's a small conduit, maybe 4 or 5 steps, and then there's a second airlock door. So the pilot house like a double airlock door that's, in a short passageway between them.
Okay. So I think we should do the outer airlock and keep the inner airlock open, at least for now. See if Max is coming back, and if we don't hear from or what do you think is better, having Mr. Tim communicate with us for it, or having one airlock open?
Well, Oni's experience of Mr. Tim is he is not very reliable.
Fair.
I heard that.
Really?
Mr. Tim, I love you, but I think in case something goes wrong, we're gonna be closing the outer airlock just in case, obviously, but as much as I love you, I feel we should have a backup plan in case your communication is not optimal.
Noted. You distrust and think I cannot do my job. Over and out.
That is not what I said, Mr. Tim.
So you guys go into the pilot house, you close the inner airlock door, right?
Just at the outer.
Outer door. Okay.
Whichever one. We just close one of them.
Okay. And Captain Harm, you're gonna try a little bit of stress relief with muffin, but no coffee. But it wasn't good coffee anyways. But if you're gonna, catch your breath, try a little stress relief, because it's gonna take Captain Max a little bit of time to do what he's doing. You could roll it takes your lowest one, so that would probably be sanity.
Okay.
You roll a sanity save. I would think military training or military training would probably be the most important one, since you're a Marine and you've been in these situations before. And so I would have you roll a sanity save with military training to see if you reduce some stress.
I'm assuming it's just a straight roll.
Yeah.
Okay. How? Sorry.
Captain Harm, you're jitterly eating the muffin after you've just been attacked by this tentacled alien. That you know that somewhere in Max's head is some sort of mother. You have no idea what that is, but now he's separated from you and you don't have your eyes on Max and you have no idea what he's doing. Who knows what's happening to you two, but you have that one door closed. Go ahead.
I was just going to say it may have something to do with Oni. Probably my first question in my head was, Captain Max, how many of these things are there?
If we're talking, as far as I'm aware, there's only the one that is not in his head, and I am slightly concerned about the one that's in his head, but we'll try to ignore that little tidbit for now.
So there is an alien in Max's head?
To my understanding, there is a mother that is the mother of the alien that you saw that dislocated my shoulder. So apparently he has lost connection to that mother, and I do not know what the situation is beyond that.
So mother generally means more mature and larger. And how does something larger fit into the head of an android? I don't understand.
I don't fully understand it either, to be honest. I'm just rolling with the punches. And god damn it, we forgot. What's his name again? It starts with a PR, the android?
Yeah, he's in cryo. Prander. So
Come on. Oh,
Oni, she tells you this story that Max has told you he's got something inside him, and it's really, really concerning. I'd probably have you make a sanity save. Don't fail,
Well,
because then Captain Harm gets
everybody
an extra stress.
everybody yes. So as he feels his anxiety rising, he says his litany against fear. I will face my fear and let it wash over and pass through me, and when I turn to see the path that fear has taken, there will be nothing, only I will remain. Do I get theology?
Sure. Ooh, that's a big success. All right. So you keep it together while Captain Harm tells you, he tells you this crazy story that the android Max somehow communed with some alien mother that's now embodied inside his person. I don't know if Oni believes that androids have a soul or what that encompasses, but it's inside him, and it doesn't phase you as that much. Captain Max, you go to Cryo and start packing up weapons, and the android Pander is like laid up against the wall where Captain Harm left them. Doesn't have the lower half, and he goes, Android, what's going on?
Max is just concentrated on getting all the weapons in, and he hears kind of that his voice just throughout the distance, and he kind of stops and slowly kind of looks up and sees this android with no legs, just a torso, and what? How? And he kind of looks around and he's like, "How? Who?"
I am Prander. I am now Captain Harm's property. He saved me from the Alexis and certain dire, terrible death from the gateway. He's gonna get me new legs. He's like dripping white fluid.
Max is going to kind of look at the ground and then look back at him. About how far is the cryo room from the pilot house?
It's like halfway between, so it's like in the middle of the ship, roughly. The cryo is like somewhat in the middle, and pilot house is all the way forward, and the aft hold, starboard and ports are far back where engineering is. So it's somewhat in the middle, roughly.
Okay, Max is going to extend a hand out and grab him and kind of throw him on his back. So duffel bag on one shoulder and the other android on the
Climbs up on top of you, Max,
Max is
and
gonna
he's got his
reach-
head over, and he goes, "What about your pet?
Yes, that's.
Are you gonna
going to
take
be-
him too?" He kind of like turns his head over. Do you whistle to it or sing to it? Does it have a name?
I never got that far. But as all pets, when they become rampant or insane, they must be put down. And unfortunately, I think that's what I'm going to have to do with my pet.
And Branders gets really quiet over it. He goes, "Oh, maybe you shouldn't have said that out loud, Captain Max." He kind of goes, "Because it's behind cryo number 5.
Max is immediately just going to try to book it the door. Oh, actually, I forgot. Well, I got him on my shoulders though. Don't back for shit. And him. Yeah, I'm just gonna. Well, I'm not gonna try. I'll slowly try to just creep towards the door.
Right? Cryo's no longer has a airlock because it was destroyed at some point in the ship's history. You slowly start to go through the doorway. Prander's holding on really close, and he goes, "It's coming," and you just hear it. Like flow over cryo number 5, and it like flows across the floor as you've seen it before, and you feel like the tentacles like wrap around up and just kind of encase your lower body in this soft, gentle embrace. There's a tiny little burble sound, if you've ever had a cat that burbles in its sleep, and it's just kind of holding on to you, and then just like lays out, just has like one tentacle around you, and Prander's holding on, going, "What do we do now?"
Now, so it doesn't seem aggressive yet. The nearest airlock is what? Probably is all the way at the back half of the ship.
Yeah, it's like
Sure
either
is.
the cargo holds, one of the cargo holds, main cargo hold, aft port and starboard cargo hold.
I'm gonna
You
get
know-
on the radio. Actually, no, I'm just gonna do it. I'm slowly. So it's holding. Is it following me or is it trying to drag me back into the room?
No, it doesn't seem to be inhibiting your motion.
I'm gonna slowly set the bag down of weapons, and Max is going to turn around and face it and slowly, or well, I guess, and take the android, set him down the hallway. I forgot he's on there.
You set Prander down.
And try to slowly kind of coax it to him and try to get it to come out to Max. Almost like, I guess like, here, kitty, kitty, kitty.
Yeah, so like
alien.
it would just kind of flow around you and, butt up right against you and puff out to its full size, like an octopus would swell. And it's just next to you, kind of slick, a little bit cooler. It's got splotches on it that look like damaged tissue of where Oni threw the coffee on it. You probably hear it, some sort of internal breathing of some nature, but it doesn't do anything else.
Max is going to hold his hand out and kind of grab it, and then again try to call out for Mother one more time.
Okay. Make a Mother roll.
Oh, my mouse is off.
So is that a certain button on the character sheet, Mother roll?
Yeah, I created a button for him. I created a special skill called Mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, Max, you're in the dark. It's around you, making these soft kind of thrumming noises that reverberate through you. You feel it in your skin and the tactile sensation and the nerve endings that function for you as an android for sensation. It kind of rumbles through you. You reach out for that existence inside you called Mother, and just blank, just flat out blank. You have no idea.
I feel like Max being an android, just like, where we found the alien. What was the planet? It was
Sigma.
Sigma. His main goal is just to try to keep everyone together and keep everyone safe. And I think since it seems to be attached to Max still somehow, Max is gonna try to lead it to the hangar bay.
Okay, that's easily done.
I'm assuming if we decompress the hangar bay, like if we just open the doors, it will suck everything out, right? So yeah, Max is gonna try to slowly make his way towards the hangar bay with it, just trying to, again, kind of like a cat, just kind of just coax it or hog it and try to keep it.
I think that's easily done, Max.
And he's gonna radio Harm and the others in the pilot bay, and I have an idea. It's probably going to more or less kill me, but Harm, but Harm and
Oni.
The guy that's not here, Dr. No-Hand's his character.
Right. Dr. Rizal and Eric Collins.
I guess Eric Collins and Harm are the only original surviving members. So I guess Max is going to be like, Harm, I want you to be in charge of the ship. It's yours if I don't make it out of the hangar bay. I'm going to decompress the hangar bay and open it, and if I don't make it, you, Oni, and everybody else just get somewhere safe. I left the artifact in my bag and a bunch of weapons right outside the cryo bay. And what was his name? The android?
Prander.
I left Prander right outside the door of the cryo chamber.
Well, if we don't see each other again, we'll just say I did enjoy our time together, and I appreciate everything you have done.
Of course, Mr. Harm, it is my problem and mine to fix. And always remember, courage and honor. Max is going to try to slowly coax this thing towards the hangar bay.
Yeah, I think, Captain Max, that you easily take it to the hangar bay, open up the main airlock door, which is much thicker because it's meant to hold against the decompression of the hangar bay when the main open doors that lead out open. So it's a huge door, much thicker than normal airlock doors. And you cycle it through. It's probably got a double cycle, and you open up that hangar bay and proceed into this huge cavernous space. That's the hangar bay with the alien, right behind you, and probably almost in your same space as you enter the hangar bay. Oni, do you say anything to Captain Max as he's talking to Captain Harm about what he's going to do?
I was quite literally thinking, Android Max, I hope you have some plan to save yourself once you open this door.
I think the only plan that I have is hope for the best. The odds have always been stacked against us, and they are so stacked today. And this is, I'm going to throw an alien reference out just because this feels like This is literally an alien movie now. This is game over, man.
Mr. Tim, the ship's AI, goes, Captain Harm, surely he could put on a suit. I mean, he might not make it. He might not be strong enough to hold himself against the pull, but, I mean, he could put on a evac suit if it lets him.
Well, not only
Unless he wants to go that way. I mean, it's a good story.
but not only that.
Well, if he wants to wear one, where would he find them?
Oh, well, there's a couple hanging up in the hangar bay.
Okay.
See, Max wouldn't know that because I don't
Because
think
he's a
anybody really explored the ship when we got
Yeah,
it.
he's not a shipped android, but I think Mr. Tim would probably pipe up Android Max. You could cycle it from the inside, or I could cycle it once the airlock door is closed. If you can't get away, you could try to put on a evac suit.
Mr. Tim, where are the evac suits?
You're in a locker by the main blast doors.
Is this room when it decompresses? So I'm assuming since this room can be completely decompressed, it's solid. There's nothing it can slither through.
No, like your hold is pretty empty. Obviously, if there was stuff in the hold or equipment or vehicles, yeah, it could be terrible because then you would be essentially hit and thrown and buffeted by whatever's inside being sucked out of the main doors. But the hold of the Bishop Gambit is completely empty. There's really nothing in it. There's no, loaders. There's no equipment. There's no crates. It's devoid of cargo.
Would there be any cargo netting that would be up against the wall? Because it's kind of always there. It's like a transport trailer. They always have ropes and things to tie things down, even if they don't have cargo.
Let's leave it to fate. Is there cargo netting on the Bishop Gambit?
The way I've been rolling, probably not.
Actually, it's a roll for me.
But my
I'll
luck,
leave it-
probably not.
Leave it 50-50. Yes, there is cargo netting
Wow. Okay.
up against the side of the walls where they lash down boxes to make them closer together and keep them together or stack them higher. There's like this ribbing of cargo netting along the walls, and maybe there's some eyelet holes or paddock holes in the floor where they click the cargo heading down and then stretch it over and keep everything down.
So this could work in our favor, but it also could work against us.
It could rip my arm off.
But you're an android. Maybe we'll
Yeah.
just put the parts between the two of you. We'll make one.
That's what I should have said. I should have said if I do die, then my lower half will go to. What's his name?
So you're going to go in the cargo bay,
I'm gonna
cycle the airlock door closed.
I'll try to coax the alien, like use a soft tone, like just stay here. It's okay. It's okay. And walk and try to grab a suit if I can, if it'll let me.
I think it'll let you put on a suit.
Okay.
It'll stay near you, but you're in the same spaces. You're not leaving the space, so putting on a suit, it doesn't really get what that is.
Okay. I'm gonna put on the suit and then grab the cargo netting and kind of wrap my arm around it a few times and try to. Does the alien, is it still trying to wrap its tentacles around me, or is it kind of relaxed now and kind of just near me?
Yeah, it's like a puppy. It's right next to you, leaning up against you, maybe a little bit. You think it may be dozing off a bit.
Okay, so I'll kind of just again try to coax it and just, it's okay, you can relax, you're safe now.
All right. So you put on the evac suit, and it's next to you, and you wrap yourself up in the, arm up into the cargo netting, and tell Mr. Tim to evac to space.
I'm gonna take it. Max, for the first time, is actually for an android going to feel scared, like worried, like this could be it. And for him, he's not like, death doesn't, I won't say bother him, or being decommissioned, I guess, doesn't bother him, but it's just not something that he ever thought would come like this, like with a alien in a cargo bay. But he does know that, his main priority was to save the crew, and that this is probably the only safe way to deal with this situation, because it can go through vents. There's
Okay.
I don't see any other way. And Max comes to terms with it, and he exhales and he tells Tim to open the hangar bay as quick as possible.
Oni and Max, Captain Harm are in the pilot house, and Mr. Tim voice is really monotone, which is usually not. Mr. Tim has this weird inflection that you don't find in most ship AIs. It has a degree of motion that is uncommon, but now his voice is completely flat, as you would expect, and he goes, "Hangar bay decompression in 5 seconds. I have put it up on screen so you can watch." And the video screen goes, there's this little screen that's maybe like 5 inches in diameter in the center of the console. And you see this grainy black and white picture. You see Max, got his arm in the thing. He looks really tiny, and he has this alien around him. And you hear the countdown: 5, 4, 3, and then klaxons shine in the pilot house. Bloop, 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 bloop. Decompression of main hangar. Bloop, bloop. And the doors open. Max, you're inside the hangar bay, and it's just chaos as everything, all the air and atmosphere in the main hangar bay gets sucked out. Immediately, you're pulled towards the main hangar bay, which are huge. You need to make a strength check to keep hold of the thing.
I have this whole game. So if there's any check to pass, this would be the one.
297s in a row.
All right.
Then do you weight the dice? Is that what it is? Or the virtual dice weighted?
Max, you lose, you don't realize how forceful a decompression in. It sucks out whole giant loaders and Humvees, and small shuttles get sucked out of a space when it does that, when the hangar bay opens. The force of it is so huge that it's impossible for you to hold. And as you get ripped out, you have these tentacles are wrapped all around you, all over your whole body. And the alien tries to wrap itself through the cargo netting and hold the both of you into the cargo netting together. He doesn't have a very good chance of doing that, but that's his whole goal, Captain Max. You know that the alien's whole goal is to save you as you get sucked out of the hangar bay. So Max, I see you you and the alien are this long line, just taut line. You're at the end of this line. You got 3, 4, 5 huge tentacles just completely wrapped up, go around your legs, back up your back, and you're just sucked out like this in a straight line. You look back up at this complete force. It probably is, since you're not human, you haven't lost consciousness. For a human, it would just pull all the blood. They would lose blood pressure. It would be impossible for them to stay awake. But you're still kind of vaguely aware of what's happening, and you're just maybe jittering a little bit in a small circle as the doors are open and it's pulling you, but you're being held by the alien behind you. What does Max do?
Now I'm confused. Now I don't know if I want to kill it or if I want to keep it. I don't know. But I can't risk this thing because it already tried to kill Harm, and I can't communicate with it, so I can't be like...
You can, if you would like to. You could roll Mother.
I have not had a single roll.
Captain Harmon, Oni, you're up there watching this, but
I don't even know what to do.
Mr. Tim, you hear him say, "Damn." You see Max get pulled out and all of a sudden just gathered by the alien, and the alien is holding on by a couple tentacles. Oni, what do you say or do while you're watching this?
Question. Mr. Tim, how long does explosive decompression last? Perhaps only as long as there is air in the space?
Right. I don't know what the volume of that space was. I would say it probably lasts a couple minutes to completely decompress. It's not like a small space. I don't know what I'm just guessing off the top of my head in some physical manner, because it's such a huge space still as the doors open slowly. I think it would take a little while, a minute and a half, 2 minutes, something like that.
Hang on, Mr. Max.
You're talking to the screen.
Hang on, Mr. Max.
Captain Harv, Oni's cheering from the side. You know that The only thing Max can hold on is the alien because he's completely out in space. If the alien loses, he's just gonna go right out into the void. What does Captain Harm do?
As uncharacteristic as it would be for him, considering he's a Marine, and he's not really a man of faith, he's probably just gonna just kind of like sort of like start muttering like a really just deranged prayer of just being like, if this fucking works somehow, if this fucking works somehow, like this is a bitch ass alien better not fucking kill me. Like,
Captain Max, you're strung out there.
Are we? So how are the tentacle bays hanging outside of the hangar door?
No, you're like
are we
on
in
the.
space, or we're still in the hangar?
You're still in the hangar on one of the walls. Like, let's say it's the right side or left side wall, or it could even be the back wall. But you wrap yourself up in this cargo netting, and as the doors open, the suction pulls you out. The netting goes out with you. You lose your grip. The alien grabs you, so you're in a line, like almost if something was pulling all both of you. You're
But
taut
we're not
in,
like hanging outside. So if the
no,
hangar
you're
door's
just in the
closed,
hangar bay,
it's
taut.
because everyone's off.
Right.
Okay.
If you lose control, if the alien loses grip, then you're gonna get sucked out into space. Right now, you're just out, like straight across, nothing around you in space, taut against that flow, but you're still in the hangar bay.
It's a Hollywood moment.
Max is going to again just try to get, maybe the fourth time's the charm. He's going to try to center himself the best he can, and again, try to reach out to Mother.
Okay, with the purpose of
just trying to get the alien to let go, like to try to.
So you don't need Mother to do that. You would
Okay.
roll Mother, but you're actually conversing with the alien directly, or in some fashion trying to make the alien let go. You would use Mother as a skill, but you don't necessarily have to contact Mother inside you.
Okay.
Mechanically, it's the same. You still would use Mother to convince it to let go, that this is what you want.
So you know what? No, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna stick to the course.
Okay.
So Max is gonna turn around or not turn around, I guess, because I'm wrapped in it, but try to just, it's okay. We can let go. This is what needs to happen.
Okay, you roll probably Mother with intellect. I tell you what.
So when you say Mother with intellect, so if I click on Mother and roll normal, that's rolling it with. Oh, okay. I've been rolling it with strength. Okay. Okay. Right. Can I re-roll that? Okay.
Sure, you can re-roll it.
Okay. My strength is higher. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I rolled worse. Okay. I have no excuse. Sorry.
All right. I'm going to roll one. I'm going to roll for the alien who's trying to hold Max and itself against this flow of violent decompression. It doesn't matter how big an alien is. That would be difficult for any life form. And so I'm going to give it disadvantage and roll instinct, which is what it does, and see if it holds. So Captain Harm and Oni, you're up there watching this little grainy black and white. You see probably Max's head lay back a little bit, almost like he's talking in some nature in his evac suit and doing something. And you see the alien start to lose its grip. It's getting pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled, and its tentacles start to unravel because it's just getting shredded by trying to hold itself and Captain Max. And they're going to get sucked out into space. And Mr. Tim says, Captain Harm and Oni, should I leave the doors open or close them?
I guess I'll go on like the little communicator things and be like, Max, are you sure this is what you want?
Yeah, I don't think he could hear you.
Oh, that's fair. Oh, I didn't think of that.
He's like in a decompressing space, like the rush of air and everything's right.
Yeah, good point.
But he's got a helmet.
He does have an evac. So we're seeing. I've let it fly. You hear Harm's voice, Max, in your helmet, maybe garbled, because it's so loud in there. Maybe catches of it. Is this what you want? You probably hear that garbled sentence from Captain Harm. How does Captain Max respond as he starts to slip towards that door?
Harm, all of this happened because of me. I'm sorry about Ace. I never meant for anyone to get hurt. My whole goal is The captain was to keep everyone alive, everyone safe, everyone happy. I failed in that manner, but maybe you can be a better captain than me. And this is the only way to get rid of this thing that I brought aboard. But at the time, this was the only way that I saw that everyone could make it out, and still somebody died. And I'm sorry for that. But this is the way. And then again, Max will repeat, go with courage and honor, Norm, and be safe. The Gambit is now yours.
I hope that whatever place you end up, if you believe in one, gives you peace.
Thank you, Commander Harm. The bridge is now yours.
Oni, any last words before?
Captain Harm, is there nothing that we can do? I mean, he may be sucked out. Can we perhaps send the shuttle for him afterwards?
I will ask Tim about the logistics of that, because that makes sense.
Yeah, Mr. Tim, there's this long pause, and the AI, Mr. Tim, says, I must elevate Oni to Captain Oni. That is an excellent idea. He is in an evac suit, and he won't perish for quite some time. The air will last at least a few days with scrubbing. If the alien succumbs to the void, Captain Max may be recoverable. As you say that, Oni, you look down at the grainy black and white screen, and all of a sudden you see the alien Captain Max. Now, you get sucked out of the main doorway, and the alien, completely covers you, Captain Max. Literally, as you enter the void of space, the alien isn't just wrapped up in you. It literally, covers you completely. And you see your vision go blurry as this thick kind of mucusy stuff is starting to coat the front of your shield. And you hear this little voice as Mother becomes awakened with you, and you hear her say, Max, what has been happening? Max, we are in space. Max, this was not part of the plan. I guess this is it, but they still have the eggs, and we'll end it there.
Did you just say something about eggs?
I did.
Damn it, what? I guess a new mother's gonna have to come out of somewhere, I guess.
So hopefully you like this session. I had no idea what's gonna happen today. I thought it was really fun.
Yeah,
Max
yeah.
isn't dead. Oni's idea is very credible because he is in an evac suit. He could do a whole walk with it, and so he could survive. It's just that no one really thought of that. Either I didn't either. I'm not gonna think of that and tell you either, but you only thought of it. I think that's a fantastic idea. So Max isn't dead. He may think he's dead because he gets sucked out in there because he's in that frame, and the alien is wrapping around it.
What a poetic death. How do you just show back up again though? I'm like,
Well, if he weren't in the suit, there would have been a definite death.
That's true.
You could have come back as Mr. Prander.
And how long would an android last in an evac suit out in space without oxygen he doesn't need? He just has to.
That's a good point.
Well, that's why I didn't think about the evac suit, because I was like, well, I don't need oxygen. So the only thing I have to worry about is the
So I have a
decompression aspect.
A few questions for you, at the start of next session, before they perhaps mount a recovery expedition.
My biggest thing is
on low fuel.
If this thing doesn't let go, then I can't.
It cannot survive the void of space. I think Max understands it is still a organic matter that is somewhat oxygen dependent. His idea about
Mr. Tim, I asked that.
His idea, but you asked whether all life forms need oxygen, but
That's
not
true.
all life.
That's
He
true.
was answering your question directly. You didn't ask him if this life form he actually said, do life forms need oxygen? He goes, no, there are life forms that don't.
The specific.
Damn you, Mr. Tim. Damn
Tony,
myself.
you're gonna
Of
say
course,
something?
Mr. Tim is very direct with his answers.
So the other two, Doctor, I'm not going to remember his name.
Dr. Rizal and Eric Collins, when people are missing, I kind of fade them back. It's just a little hard for me to figure out,
They could have been doing maybe maintenance on the shuttle.
Right.
So they could have, because this all happened so quickly.